Well, good morning. Howdy from South Texas. This old dude here, we're back in the garage working on my son's Wrangler JK 2010. It's throwing an error code, and we're gonna have to replace the shift solenoid in the transmission because it's locked him out of second gear. Took us a little while to diagnose it, but you could just feel that it was really low on power taking off, and it would never didn't want to drive faster than about 65 miles an hour. And got on Rock Auto and ordered us a new shift solenoid, so it's here. That was about $120, I think. It's a Mopar direct part from Rock Auto, and then the 4 quarts of ATF fluid, which is what it should take to drop the pan or replace this. So we're gonna go back through all that. The transmission fluid was actually $50 right there. We're $10 a piece, so plus tax. So that's pretty expensive stuff. Anyway, make sure we get this done right. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go up there and we're going to up top, and we're gonna suck the transmission fluid out of the dipstick hole. But then we're gonna have to drop this cross member right here. Gotta see what else we need to do, but this is the transmission pan we're gonna have to drop. It's a 13-bolt pan all the way around. Might be a little tight back in here to get there because those are very, very hard to, you can see them, there's a line of them right there behind that exhaust pipe. That makes it tough. We gotta pull that green linkage and that transmission linkage right there loose. And we're gonna have to rotate that shaft clockwise all the way to low gear to get it out of the park position. Okay, so this is simple enough. We're gonna take this little oil pump. This little skinny tube is going down in this transmission dipstick. This big tube going on the other side, that's going in this oil can. I'll hook these to the battery, which happens to be right here on the Jeep. So that's pretty good. And then we're going to suck the transmission fluid out of that pan and into that can. So that way we don't get a transmission fluid shower when we're down underneath the Jeep working. Well, using this little pump, I was able to get about almost 3 quarts out of that pan, which is 3 more quarts I don't have to worry about raining down on me when I pull it down. So now the real fun starts. We get under here and we're gonna pull down this cross member, start disconnecting cables. I brought all my tools down here with me with a dead battery on my impact, so I won't be using that. Anyway, I'll get this thing set up where you can kind of see what I'm doing. Sorry for my voice on this one. I've been a little under the weather and got a little bit of a raspy voice going, so hope you can understand me fine. It is amazing how quickly we become spoiled by impact wrenches and cordless tools, because having to use my ratchet just about wore me out. So removing the support plate brace is a given. You have to do that. I was hoping we could get away without removing or pulling the exhaust down, but we ended up having to take the exhaust loose at each of the exhaust manifolds by the engine so we could drop it down and the mount just behind the transmission there, just so the exhaust would drop down enough for us to get up in there and get to the bolts on this transmission pan on the back side. So that's what we had to do. Your exhaust could be different. Now I'm going to cover this in a little more detail here in just a minute, but when I'm looking at all the different things that have to be disconnected up here on the side to see if I can reach them, and none of them are that easy to get to. It's pretty tight spaces. You have to have a long screwdriver, and you have to try to get both hands up in there because they're electrical connections. So that, and I'm just cleaning everything up here so it's easier and maybe doesn't get quite so dirty once we drop this pan. Now while I'm here, I'm just taking some of these bolts because they don't need that many. I'm going to leave a couple in each corner, but I'm going to take most of the bolts out that hold the pan on. That way it makes it a little easier just to drop it down and leave one corner attached. So just breaking them loose. Then we got to remove this little black thing right here, and this shift linkage bolt right there, and then pull this shift linkage up. Try to clean up around this and rotate that shaft all the way clockwise. So that's next. Okay, this is one of the hard pieces to get to. This connector right here and the other two are pretty hard to do because they've got that, it's hard to see that little red. Hard to film, too. Anyway, there's a little red thing right about there that has to push to the back of the truck, and then you push it and pull it off. And there's not a lot of room for your hands up in there, but I'm gonna try that. This is on the passenger side. Now, while I've been working on all the connections and things, linkage, my son's been down below working on that back row of bolts on that pan. It's not easy to get to, but we did finally manage to get it using our wobble sockets, wobble extensions, and a 1/4-inch drive. There's just not enough room for like a 3/8 drive socket and extension to go up in there, but we got it with the 1/4-inch. And now you can see we got the pan down here, and we didn't have to take a shower in transmission fluid. Now the filter was held on by, I think, 3 Torx 25s, so we had to get the right size to get that down, and it did have some fluid still in it, so it kind of came down a little bit, but not too bad. Pretty simple to do. The filters is easy to get off. You have to watch out for the little O-ring that goes up in the hole. Sometimes it stays up there, sometimes it stays on the filter. After the filter comes this valve plate or base plate, whatever you want to call it. But it's what the actual solenoid pack is on top of it. And also on top of it are two, the overdrive and I believe the underdrive pistons. They look like little pistons with spring loaded. Actuators are located on the top of it. So when you pull it down, you have to be very careful because those two pistons will fall out on the ground and you want to catch them. You want to stop them from doing that and make sure you put them back in the same hole because like transmission tolerances are all really tight, really close. And swapping things around, I've always found causes problems. So put things back where you got them. There are a lot of 10mm bolts that hold this valve plate on. I think there's 10 of them. There may have been 12, but I think there were 10 if memory serves. And I missed one that's down in a hole there, so I was trying to get it off there and it was still attached. So we had to take that last one out and then it drops down. And this is where you want to go slow and watch that front edge. You'll see I reach up there and grab those two valves. They just landed on top. We were able to come straight down because we had dropped the exhaust out of the way. But if we'd have tilted it, they'd have fallen off on the ground. And now you can see the shift rod that has to come out the top, that long silver rod, pokes through the top of the transmission. Once we had it out on the bench, I got my son busy cleaning the pan off and getting all the silicone off the pan while I took the solenoid pack off of the valve base plate there and put the new one back on. Then it's just a matter of bolting up the new pack and torquing it into place so it torques up on there. Now, they do make rebuild kits, but everybody has told me the rebuild kits aren't worth doing. Just replace it. It's too much trouble to get it out. Now, what I found says to torque these down to 50 inch-pounds. So you're going to have a really small torque wrench that's inch-pounds. That's one thing I don't have is a nice digital one that will switch, so I still have this one, but it works just fine. So I torque those down to 50 inch-pounds, and once the pan's all cleaned up, we're ready to actually put this thing back together. Now, the last thing you want to check before you slide it back up under there and try to get it on is that this transmission lockout needs to be locked back in place, and that's by turning that shaft clockwise, and that you'll see it when you get in there. That thing has a little claw on the bottom of it, that little
brown shaft has a little hook on the end of it that hooks into a special place on that transmission that allows you to take it both out of the Jeep and put it back in the Jeep without it getting hung up on anything. Now I'm just being precautionary and I'm making sure everything looks all right up in there, looking in all the holes I can see with the flashlight. It looks clean and didn't see a lot of wear or any problems, but just cleaning things up and making sure everything's there before we slide this thing back up in place. And you do have to put those two pistons back up in there, which is a little tricky when it's upside down, as I really believe this was all designed and engineered to be built on the bench where you can roll the transmission upside down and drop those two pistons in and bolt everything up. But when it's hanging upside down like this, there you can see me inserting a piston there, they will fall right back out. There's springs that hold it up in there once it gets in place. And then I had to use a big flat putty knife to hold them in place while my son slid the transmission valve plate up there, and we got it in place so they would hold him. So yeah, it's kind of a two-man job at this point to put it back together, because you have to stab that long skinny shift rod up to the top of the transmission. You have to hold those valves in place, and then lift the plate up into place and get it bolted up. But once you get a couple of bolts started, you're pretty much home free on this at this point. So now it's just a matter of tightening down all the bolts and getting them torqued to spec, which again, looking that up, these are 105 inch-pounds, I believe, is what this came out to. So we got it all ran down and torqued, and we're getting pretty close.
I missed that one. See.
After that, it's just a matter of bolting the filter back up on the underneath this, and then getting the pan put back on. We actually used a gasket on my pan that when we put it back up there, it didn't have a gasket when it came out from the factory, or this transmission didn't have a gasket on the pan. I'm assuming that's common, but I actually ordered a gasket. We put it back on there, and it's not leaking yet, so that's a plus, I think. So while my son was getting the pan back on and getting it bolted up and torqued down, I was busy putting the electrical connections back together. So there's the driver's side all hooked up, the green and the black. Got the shift cable linkage back on top, and it shifted just fine. So that worked out well too. Once the pan was on the bottom, we could start filling it. And while Weston, my son, is hooking up the exhaust, we're going to have this thing pretty much ready to go. Now, one thing I had read that it only took 4 quarts to drop this pan and change the fluid, 4 quarts, but it actually took about 5.5 quarts. So I had to go buy another quart of transmission fluid at $11 a quart and top it off there. But after that, the Jeep ran, perfect, shifts gears now just fine. One of the things that did happen during the course of doing this transmission is I dropped some transmission fluid on the fender. And these old Jeeps have terrible fenders. That plastic fender, you can see, just gets, the sun just cooks it. But that transmission fluid made it actually come back to life. So I tried putting it on the whole fender, and I'll kind of report back how that goes. I thought that was just an interesting problem, but it worked as good as anything else I've put on there. Just old transmission fluid. Who knew? But anyway, hey, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you kind of like the content. It helps us know that we're doing a good job. Makes us feel better about ourselves. But then again, what do you like to see? I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about these fenders and see how that all holds up over time. So I'll kind of do a little bi-weekly picture of that and let you know how that works. Thanks again for watching. Everybody have a great day.